Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I don't follow this guy, now I do. I went and checked and made sure, and both Ripple and Circle Private Equity are on the Link2 platform right now. There's some left, and they are my sponsor. Just wanted to let you know. Go to link2.com, linqto.com, and you can check it out. Look at this. This is about as bullish an indicator as you're going to get. Unlikely that Bitcoin finds its footing. This is from Jim Cramer. It's almost like Jim Cramer tweets these things when he's ready for the market to turn around. This was sent to me a few days ago, and I keep forgetting to play it, but you just got to watch it. This is about BlackRock, who just did the BlackRock ETF.
So I found out who actually owns BlackRock, but there's something really weird about it. Because by now we know that BlackRock is in the top 3 shareholders of basically every corporation in America and beyond. And they do this using our money in things like retirement accounts, pension funds, IRAs, exchange traded funds, mutual funds. But most people don't actually know who owns and controls BlackRock. We all know that it was founded by Larry Fink, and he's the face of the company, but he does not control it. When you try to find out who does control it, you'll usually find this list, which is the top institutional shareholders. Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street are right at the top, just like every other company. But this is not the whole story. Because if you dig deep enough, you'll find out that actually Merrill Lynch owns 45% of BlackRock. And they're considered an insider, so they don't show up on the top institutional holders list. This merger took place in 2006. So actually Merrill Lynch controls BlackRock in a big way. But who controls Merrill Lynch? Well, Merrill Lynch is actually a division of Bank of America, because Bank of America bought them out during the 2008 financial collapse. So who owns Bank of America? Well, nowadays, Warren Buffett is the top shareholder of Bank of America because he owns Berkshire Hathaway, which is his billionaire investment firm. I'm still not sure what this top one is, this 25%. That's an anomaly, and I cannot corroborate what those shares are, but I found these shares. This is a screenshot from Berkshire Hathaway's 13F where they tell you all the things they hold, and I totaled up all of these Bank of America shares, and it equals 1,032,000,000 shares. That's 13% of Bank of America shares, equal to $33 billion. But I also dug in a little bit into where Bank of America came from and who founded them, and all modern banks are crazy histories of mergers and acquisitions and banks changing their names and merging with other banks, probably for no particular reason. But Bank of America traces its roots back in 2 different directions, one of which I'm not going to talk about, and the other one is back to this Italian dude.
While you're watching this, Bank of America is a Ripple customer. Pretty rich history of talking about Bank of America and Ripple.
Named Amedeo Giannini, who acquired what was then called Banca di America d'Italia. Sorry for that accent. Over the years, it's changed its name to Bank America, and then in the biggest merger in history, merged with Charlotte-based Nation Bank in 1998. So I just thought it was interesting that half of the lineage of Bank of America was founded by this Italian dude that got really into Italian banking back in the early 1900s, when there was a certain Italian organization that was doing a lot of things with money back then. I'm sure it was all above board though, obviously. But anyways, back to the weird thing that I can't figure out. Bank of America owns Merrill Lynch, who owns the vast majority of BlackRock. But they don't have anyone on the board as far as I can tell. Usually, the biggest shareholders of a company have representatives on the board that sort of represent their investment. But I've just shown you the whole board of directors of BlackRock, and none of them have any real ties to Merrill Lynch or Bank of America, which seems pretty weird when you own almost half the company to not have any board members. The plot thickens. So 2 things. If you want to follow the history of Bank of America down the other trail, you might wind up at a certain family name that you aren't aware of, that is really hard to find on the internet that'll probably get videos taken down. Total conspiracy theories. And the other thing is, if anyone knows more than me or is literate in this or has info about why Merrill Lynch and Bank of America have no representatives on the board of BlackRock, I would love to.
All right, interesting video. Now, this is interesting for those of you that have not been here. Craig Phillips, former Morgan Stanley, former BlackRock. He's like a managing director at BlackRock, I believe. He was on Ripple's board for a long time. I'm not sure if he still is. I haven't checked lately. But this was him back in maybe 2019-ish, talking crypto.
Yes. Bill Cunningham. So did I hear you say that no regulator has authority for Bitcoin spot market trading? Number one. And would that imply that, the SEC would not, be on firmly? I know I'm in a room full of lawyers, so I'm an economist, so I'm treading on thin ice here. But I was just curious about that statement. That's number one. Number two, opportunity zones and cryptocurrency. Have you all thought about the combination thereof? Could you create an opportunity zone coin, for example, in Southeast Washington, D.C., and use that to, capture that benefits from that program?
Sure. Well, my first comment about regulation is that every regulator has fundamental authorities, and those authorities are sort of grounded in either the statute that defines their authority or regulations that they've passed. And that's what I really am referring to is if you take the nature of what a digital asset is, it doesn't strictly fit the definition of a regulatory authority that any of the regulators naturally have. So the SEC has characterized their authority over offerings and said certain types of offerings should be registered. And the CFTC has said in some ways it is like a commodity, which gives them certain oversight. But just a digital asset sitting there on the floor, I think the elusive thing is how do you define what that is, and how do you not have that definition capture any other number of kind of assets or characteristics, from collecting wine to airline miles to other things. And I don't mean to be sort of glib, but as a lawyer, you can appreciate the challenge is how do you then describe this store of value and the nature of its ownership, and then map it to traditional things. So things like custody, there's a whole industry established around holding assets. So it used to be, I'm really old, there used to be paper assets, and Wall Street every day would deliver these assets against payment, and there were runners all over in southern Manhattan running around delivering these things. And slowly those things became digital in nature and electronically.
Interesting. He's talking almost as if they needed a lawsuit. Scoop, FTX officials sold about 1 billion of Grayscale's GBTC since Bitcoin ETF approval, explaining a large chunk of its outflow. A lot of interesting things going on. This is what Mark Yusko said about this.
I don't think they appreciate, is, Grayscale, yes, it was $25 billion of AUM, but they didn't raise $25 billion. I don't know the exact number, but my gut is it's around 10-ish billion. And that money came in the last bull run. And what people they've forgotten, that big first move from 10 to 60 before the famous Elon quote, most of that was GBTC.
Okay, GBTC is playing a pretty big role right now from what I'm reading. Now, here, Tony from Thinking Crypto brings up the Ripple case to Kathy Wood, who is a major Bitcoin maxi, and she can't even bring herself to say the word Ripple or XRP.
Boy, I'm hoping Coinbase comes.
These people are not dumb. I've never said that they're dumb. But they carry the water for Bitcoin and only Bitcoin, and they will not move away from the script. And they are fully aware of what Ripple and XRP represent.
Base, and I'm hoping Coinbase comes out with a big victory. What were your thoughts on the SEC Ripple ruling? Because that seems to set some great precedents with the case law that the token itself intrinsically is not a security.
Exactly. I think that was a very important victory, and you'll know Bitcoin was up fivefold last year, partly for that reason. I mean, Coinbase. I mean, so yes, I think that Coinbase is going to do us a great service through the court system, and the court system is going to do us a great system. You know, if you look back in history, we have had an experience like this before. It was when derivatives were launched, and the SEC and the CFTC were vying for power over regulatory power over derivatives. It went all the way to the Supreme Court, which this probably will. And that forced legislation so that both the SEC and the CFTC have a role in derivatives oversight. But those roles are clearly delineated and they don't cross over. I think the same thing's going to happen here.
It's almost like all these people know something you and I don't know. My spidey senses are going off here. Senator Elizabeth Warren gets a community note after claiming nations are using crypto to dodge sanctions and undermine national security. See, this is they're correcting Elizabeth Warren. The U.S. Treasury's Department's own February 2022 National Money Laundering Risk Assessment report states that fiat is the preferred currency of financial crimes. Well, Elizabeth Warren would know a little bit about financial crimes. This is her when she was one of the ones in charge of the distribution of the TARP money when her and her friends bailed out their friends. Watch this.
How this is being played.
She's literally laughing about $350 billion going missing. Like that can just go missing when it's actually probably being diverted.
United States. Apparently on Bill Maher's Real Time on HBO, it's a big joke. Elizabeth Warren, who's the administrator of the $700 billion TARP fund, seems to find it quite amusing that the administration has lost something like $350 billion of that money. The Hank Paulson, the extortionist, is not being indicated in any wrongdoing at all.
How are the banks doing?
Well, there's a little problem with the first $350 billion.
And what is that?
It left, and no one's quite sure where it went.
Okay, so that was Elizabeth Warren, the administrator for the $700 billion TARP funds.
That's just a hilarious commentary, isn't it? That's taxpayer money. That's why this time they wrote in bail-ins, so they don't have to go to Congress to ask. Nobody has to get on their knees to ask Looney Tooney Nancy Pelosi for the money this time. They'll just close the banks, shave off 10% of people's savings that's in the uninsured category in there that's not FDIC covered. That's the plan, Jan. Now, I'm going to go into DAIXRP.com where we're going to talk about more of their lies. We're going to talk about, and this is what makes me nervous, is that our country is at a place where these liars are having their backs shoved into a corner. And I'm going to talk about what's scary about what I think they're capable of, because they have been caught in several ways. I'm going to show you some of the things that we've been lied to about. Anyway, I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Let's go talk about the liars and what are they capable of? That's what scares me. Here we go.